Maximus Analysis here for May 13th, 2016, and we're looking at the ES continuous contract on the weekly. We see that we're still currently making lower highs, and a big thing that I want to look at is actually the monthly, because a lot of people don't look at that, and we'll look and see if they break below this monthly low. Now, the monthly low, I believe, is 2026 for the previous week. Okay, you could see that it would be what, 2026, correct. So we want to see if they break below that, where they're going to go. Again, we have this trend line, which is good on both sides, which is 1923. Okay, if they broke it, if they came straight down, it would be 1900 basically, and then after that they would go and test these 1800 levels. We still have to continue, and some people might say, why are you looking at a monthly? I just want to see the levels, quite honestly, and it kind of clears things out. And then you back down into a weekly time frame, and then you back down into the daily time frame. But right now, we want to see if they're going to hold that 2026 level. They've been flirting around. Again, we had levels that we posted today, which is 2059.50 and 2048. They broke below the 2048, and the next level underneath that was 2036. Okay, 2036 to 2026 was the monthly low, which we'll continue to watch. I'm not saying that they're going to flush all the way down. Again, if they pop up above this level and get above 2080, again, they go to new highs. So we're in a pivotal area right now that we're not really sure about, but we'll continue to watch here. And again, we've been sideways for about 5 weeks, and we have to see which way they're going to go. Okay, I think if they break for new highs, then we'll continue to watch and go from there. But I want to be prepared for both sides. And again, this is like sailing. You sail, you adjust your sail basically to the wind. So if there's no wind, you just wait until there is. You don't force things, and that's kind of what I've been saying on Twitter a lot, is patience will pay. So we'll continue to watch those extreme levels and go from there. Now the NASDAQ, again, gave a slight buy signal, then faded back in, and they need to hold these levels. Again, this is the weekly. I kind of really want us to look at the weekly. A lot of people are looking at this as a head and shoulder pattern, which you should be able to see clearly. 1, 2, 3. Let me actually pull out the proper tool for you guys. So again, you see that the head, left, and the right shoulder is actually lower than the other shoulder. So, but again, I don't really look at those patterns. I would just say a lower high into resistance, and it's rolled so far. We need these levels to hold, this last week's low to hold for the NQ. YM, again, on the Jesus, on the weekly time frame, you have, again, same type of deal, but they need to hold. Again, we had 17,500 for crude, and they're right there right now. So again, you can also see that they need to pop up a little bit, because you don't want this to just be a false breakout. So now they're testing this downtrend line. You want them to go and launch back up to the upside. A break of 1700, 17,250 would be the levels that we would continue to watch. Crude on the weekly, we are seeing again, the contrarian type of trade would be, let's see what happens if they break this low. This low of basically 43.87 is where we would really want to see what happens. Again, the break of 43. Right now, this volume is pretty high, and they're into the resistance levels, which they're actually above it. So they're right near this last sell signal over here. And sell signal, what I mean is a break of last week's low. And I'm just looking at this low being broken by this candle. It's right about the same area, but the price action is a little different. So we can't use it exactly the same, but we have to continue to see, of course, if they could continue up and break above this $47 mark with some high volume, then we can see the 50-51 area very quickly. So we'll continue to watch this one and see where they go for next week. Let's look at a couple names on the weekly time frame. If we have Apple continuing and breaking below the 200-day moving average, if it popped up to here, I'd reshort it again. I actually got out of my short this week just because it was just long in the tooth. I've been in it for a while. I got into it around this area right here, And I even posted the chart. You guys could follow me on TradingView as well. And I posted the chart 23 days ago. I posted it. You could look at one of my published items. Who else do we have? We have Priceline giving me mixed signals here. So the mixed signal is that they flushed down. This is obviously a bearish engulfing pattern from the earnings miss. They got up to almost halfway of last week's low, last week's range, and now I want to see if this is just an inside bar for more downside potential. So that'll be the 1230 mark is where I'm looking to see if they're going to break and continue to the downside. If you look at the daily time frame for Priceline, you could kind of see what I'm talking about, that there was not that much volume and they still haven't made up all the gap. I guess this is probably almost halfway if you want to look at it. Let's see. That thereof. So again, we'll see if they roll back over, and there's a whole lot of air if they get underneath 1200 for this name. So again, we know it's Priceline. We know it can move fairly quickly. This is one I started a position in as well. So we'll continue to watch. Tesla, again, is still heading down. Again, I took this one off because, again, I didn't want to be a pig. I held over earnings, and we'll look at the weekly to see how much more potential they have. And I think they do still, I mean, they're coming up against some support, but if they break below this one, that's all she wrote, because again, you have lower highs over a numerous amount of a long time period. So you're talking about back in 2014, they get below this 200 with some type of volume. Again, the volume on the sell side is kind of weakening a little bit. But even if they bounce and they dead cat bounce up to 2030, 2040, I still would be like, all right, maybe they have some more downside potential just because of how long they go. Or you could say this, well, I won't even want to go into Elliott wave, quite honestly. It's just going to confuse things. So we'll continue to watch that one as well. Amazon still cranking up. Again, didn't give me anything in regards to what I was talking to a couple of days back to say, all right, if they got close to this, it would be capitulation to the upside. I'm willing to just wait for this one. I'm not trying to guess a top with this one at all. Google continues sideways. Now, let me tell you something. This needs to not pop back down and break below the 700, which I still think it can. If this volume comes down, this volume starts creeping up like that, I think you break these lows of 680, and it's going to flush pretty fast. And you can see this, it gave a little buy signal, but this is still a very broken pattern, and you would want to see more upside potential versus what you just had right here. So we'll continue to look at things. The market is definitely in an area. This is Facebook just giving a slight doji. So again, also look for the low of last week, of this week, as something to say, okay, if they break down, and if they break down into this 114 area, that would be potentially setting up. It's not the perfect evening star, but it could be. So again, we see that the volume on the weeks has been drying out tremendously, and you see how this pattern is really starting to creep and get disgusting. So they're not showing that much strength in regards to this weekly pattern, and we'll continue to watch. So I will be continuing to post the levels. You have your levels. Please write them down. And if you have any questions, please leave comments below so that we can work together in regards to this. And have a great weekend.